Welcome to part 2 of the Rosado Team Buyer presentation. The first step in a home search is to make a list of needs versus desires. Then we'll take that information and put that criteria on a search for homes that meet your needs. The advantage of a VIP search is that as soon as something is listed, you'll get that information by email the very instant that it's listed. In a hot market, that's essential because you'll be the first to be able to look at it and the first to act on it. When viewing the homes, these are some of the things that you should do in order to develop a short list. Once you've decided on the top 2 or 3, make an offer on the favorite, and this should be done quickly in order to avoid getting yourself into a competitive situation. One of the most important things that we can do before making an offer is establishing market value. Now, we've intuitively done that once we've viewed the properties and developed a short list, but there are additional items that we need to consider. For example, has there been an offer on the property before? Was that offer a first refusal or a standard type of offer? Have there been offers before? If so, why did they fall through? Was there a bad inspection or some other problem? How long has the property been on the market? And was it listed before? And also check the history. Has it sold or been on the market before? How much was it listed for? Or how much did it sell for? The first step the agent's going to do is look at the current MLS sheet. What was the property originally listed for? Has the property been reduced? How long has the property been on the market for? If the property's been on the market for a long time, then it could be an indication that the seller is motivated. A further check on the property shows that it was listed before at a higher price and then subsequently canceled. The fact that it was relisted again at a lower price indicates that the seller is motivated. A further check shows that this home sold in 2004. By taking the real estate board statistics, an agent can establish current market value. And again, a further check shows that it sold in 1996, and you can do the same calculation in this particular case. Now, we've seen how to use the history of average house prices in order to do a quick calculation to determine the present value. Now, I have to keep in mind that you need to factor in a couple of things like obsolescence and improvements. Obsolescence is essentially if a property is not maintained over a period of time, then we have to subtract maybe 1 or 1.5% per year for the fact that nothing was done to it. And if a property was improved, then we have to add the value of those improvements. And lastly, in order to establish market value, we need to look at comparables. We need to look at current actives and conditional sales. But most importantly, we need to look at recently sold properties because these best represent the current market value. There's an old saying that goes, you don't make money when you sell real estate, you make money when you buy it. Now, there's a lot of truth to that because if you pay too much for a property, it's hard to make a profit. So make sure that your agent does his homework and you do your homework because it's the most important thing that you can do. Before making the actual offer, there's some additional paperwork. The buyer has to sign either a buyer representation or a service agreement, and this defines the relationship between the brokerage and the buyer. And then there's the FINTRAC, the Federal Money Laundering and Anti-Terrorist Financing Regulation. Some paperwork needs to be filled in there. And the Confirmation of Cooperation is a document that defines the relationship of the brokerages and outlines how the cooperating brokerage will be paid as required by law. Page 1 of the Agreement of Purchase and Sale is pretty straightforward. Something about the deposit though, although it's not required for the agreement to be legal since it's signed under seal, the seller usually wants some kind of a deposit because in case of a breach of contract, the seller's lawyer has something to grab onto. And as far as the revocability, basically the buyer in that case gives the seller a certain amount of time to respond to the offer, and if it's not responded in time, the deal is considered dead. Page 2 of the offer again is pretty straightforward, just further clarification on future use. There's no guarantee that the future use will be different than its present use. In other words, what they're saying is that if it's residential today, it'll be residential tomorrow, unless it states it somewhere else in the contract. Also, as far as title is concerned, even though you may have a firm deal, if the lawyer can't get clear title to the property before closing, then the deal could still fall through. Page 3 of the offer continues with the inspection, which says the buyer has had an opportunity to inspect the property and understands that on acceptance there will be a binding agreement. As far as insurance is concerned, that's in a case if before closing, for example, the house burns down that you've just bought, You can still go ahead with the deal and take the insurance proceeds, or you can let the deal fall through. As far as residency, this only applies if the seller is a non-resident, in other words, not a Canadian citizen. You have to make sure your lawyer finds this out in order to make sure that any tax that's payable is taken care of. And the other important thing is family law. Family law supersedes contract law, and therefore, regardless of this, spousal rights and matrimonial homes take precedence. Page 4 is a signature page, and for it to be legal, the parties must not be minors, they must not be intoxicated, they must be mentally competent, and not be illiterate. There's also the spousal consent portion, which if a matrimonial home is under one of the spouse's names only, the other spouse must agree to by signing. And the confirmation of acceptance is when the last person agreeing to the offer signs and dates, and the property is now conditionally sold. And the final part of the offer is Schedule A. It'll have a main clause that will state that the buyer agrees to pay the balance of the purchase price subject to adjustments in cash or by certified check to the seller on closing. It'll also typically have several conditional clauses such as financing and building inspection. There will be other clauses as well, such as warranting that items are in good working order and will be so on closing, providing necessary documents, and so on. And keep in mind that these are added provisions and they supersede the standard ones that we talked about before. And there may be additional clauses in some cases as well. Once the offer is signed, it will be immediately sent to the seller's agent who will present it. And as your agents will work really hard at getting you the best possible deal in the ensuing negotiations. Now, if the two parties come to terms, we'll have a conditionally accepted agreement. And upon acceptance, the buyer will have to submit a deposit check with the offer. Now, during this conditional period, you're going to need to satisfy yourself there were no problems that were not known prior to making the offer. In other words, you need to satisfy all the conditional clauses, and we'll help you with each and every one of those. If after everything was done, it was not as advertised, you have several options. You can, if the problems were minor, you have the option of waiving the conditions and accepting the offer unchanged. If you can't accept that, then you may ask for a lower price or a remedy or both. Or you may terminate the agreement and get your deposit back. During the conditional period, we'll be with you during inspections and make note of any important items that need to be addressed later. We'll also take water samples for you and make sure they come back perfect. If you're buying a condominium, the lawyer will discuss with you the status of the corporation. If everything was satisfactory before the conditional period is up, you're going to have to sign either a notice of fulfillment of condition or waivers. Once those are signed, then you have a firm deal. Or if there was problems, the agent may make an amendment to the agreement, asking for some corrective action to be taken. Or if the problems were really severe, you may end up with a termination of agreement and a mutual release, getting your deposit back. We can also assist you with new home builders. Many builders are not big enough to have their own sales staff and rely on the assistance of a brokerage and the MLS system. Even larger builders that have their own sales staff will cooperate with brokerages and will charge the same price regardless. There's a number of things that we can do for you listed below. As a VIP buyer, our automated home buyer search will provide you with immediate updates on all properties that are listed for sale and any new listings as soon as they come on the market. This priority access gives you the opportunity to be one of the first to see a property and submit your offer. And secondly, our exclusive VIP buyer certificate entitles you for a $400 rebate, which can be used toward a building inspection, moving costs, legal fees, or in the form of a gift certificate. A free pre-approval service is provided by our mortgage broker, who will shop for the best rates and the lender for you, and ensure you get the best home for the best price. And all we ask in return is your loyalty. In summary, if you're considering buying a home, get pre-qualified. It's free and it's fast. Just go to the top of this page, click on Buyers tab, and on the drop-down menu, click on Pre-qualification. Fill in the form, and you'll receive information instantaneously. Then you can take that information and you can sort of get a rough idea of what you're looking for and how much house you can afford. If you're serious about buying a home, the first step you should take is the pre-approval. It's also free. On the same drop-down menu, just click on the pre-approval section, and that will take you to a site where you can fill in the information and you'll receive your pre-approval within a day or two at the most. The next step is the VIP search. It's also free and it's fast. Just click on that same drop-down menu on Hot New Listings, fill in the information, and we'll send you the information on all the properties that meet your criteria. Once you've found the home of your dreams, we'll help you negotiate the best possible offer, and we'll help you by paying for your inspection as well. And it's all free, and we do this on your behalf.